Hey, this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva,
Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech.
and welcome to the Snob OS Show, the show for all things Apple. And I completely screwed that up, and we are going to
Keep it rolling. They know
completely
what it
go.
is. Keep it rolling.
Yeah,
They know what
yeah,
time it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. Again, welcome to our show, and this is the show where we talk about all things Apple and then some. So, welcome back to the show this week. Before we get into the show, we want to definitely thank each of you for continuing to support the show, whether you are one of our patron supporters, which we lovingly call Snobbists, or if you are one of our regular listeners. Thank you for coming back. Again, if you want to become a part of our Snobbist community, you can head on over to patreon.com/SnobWestcast to get all the details on how you can join, how you can watch the show live, and how you can get exclusive content. Let's go ahead and get into the show. We're going to start with the lowdown, where we talk all things Apple. Well, it finally happened after much speculation. Apple has announced its latest Apple event, which will come just about a month before we get into WWDC, which is in June. So this May 7th event is called Let Loose. And by all accounts, it is going to be a iPad focused event. The icon, well, not the icon, the image that they share, it looks like a pen, an Apple, no, not pen, an Apple Pencil, which is a stylus that you use to control your iPads. So yeah, that is on deck. We've gotten lots of cool new graphics out of this. And I'm wondering, Brother Tech, do you think, outside, of course, the iPad, I'm assuming we'll get maybe a new iPad Pro, maybe a new Air, maybe we'll get a whole new line. But I'm thinking also that we may get a third generation Apple Pencil.
Most likely. I think people are, what do you say, not necessarily tired, but they're looking for something new in the Apple Pencil. They came out with the Apple Pencil version 3 that a lot of people poo-pooed because it didn't have all of everything of the first Apple Pencil, and it didn't have all the everything of the Apple Pencil 2, the one that does like the little tap gestures. So maybe Apple's like, all right, we're gonna give you
Fine.
the Apple Pencil you want, and with some different gestures. Some of the leaks and the rumors say there's going to be a squeeze gesture. So if you squeeze the Apple Pencil a little bit harder, it may give you a different width, or I don't know, size of whatever you're trying to draw. I don't know but whatever the gesture would be, maybe it'll be whatever the case may be. They're looking for new gestures for the Apple Pencil, which, I mean, it makes sense. Again, these are all rumors. Nobody knows exactly what is going to come out, but the consensus is new iPads and possibly an Apple Pencil, which makes sense because if you look at the Apple invite, like you mentioned, it does have somebody holding one of the images, has a somebody's hand, and it looks like they're splashing something on the Apple logos. And then all the other Apple logos have different designs, which means more functionality for artists or people who are drawing, which would mean a nicer Apple Pencil.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this squeeze function they're talking about, I wonder if it's going to be something similar to the action button that allows you a little bit more flexibility, since, I'm just thinking maybe they're trying to keep that kind of same wave going with the functionality. But again, we'll see. I think the biggest thing that is coming out of this conversation is that the screen is going to be an OLED display. And people have been talking about that for God knows how long. I can't remember. It's just been kind of out there in the ethos, kind of swarming around. So,
and the people are saying, word on the streets are saying that there'll be a 12.9-inch iPad Air. So they've got the 11-inch, they've got the 11-inch iPad, they've got the 11-inch iPad Air, and then the only iPad you can get in a 12.9-inch right now is the iPad Pro. So they're hinting at maybe a 12.9-inch iPad Air as well.
Yeah, and it's also interesting. This announcement is not at the usual, like, a lot of events start at like 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is like 10 a.m. West Coast time. But this time is starting 7 a.m. West Coast time, 10 a.m. East Coast time. So I don't know if they're just trying to go ahead and get it out of the way or what, but to me, that seems a little bit odd that they're doing it that early when it's usually,
Later on
late
in the
morning.
afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really kind of interesting. But as you can imagine, a lot of the buzz on the internet streets have been around this event. Apple just announced it on Tuesday. And of course, everybody has, their predictions of what they expect to see or their inside track, what we've heard, that type of thing. But again, we won't know for sure until May 7th. And I'm interested to see how this new hardware is going to play into WWDC, because we're expecting, I think, a new iPad OS around that time, maybe. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out from this event, how it plays into what they're expecting to deliver in the keynote for WWDC. It seems, because it is literally almost a month to the day from this Let Loose event to WWDC, it seems kind of conspicuous that they would do a hardware release right before a major software conference. So,
Which makes sense. They may only announce an Apple Pencil on May 7th and nothing else.
Very well could. Usually you could kind of gauge and kind of guess what was going on at these Apple events, but times have definitely changed, especially under Tim Cook, to kind of at least gauge or have at least somewhat of an idea of what to expect.
Well, on the invite, Tim Cook tweeted, and the tweet says, "Pencil us in for May 7th." And then on the emoji, he has a pencil on the end. And then in the little preview video is the image that I mentioned of a person's hand holding an Apple Pencil. So if that ain't foreshadowing, I don't know what is. But maybe that also means, again, like I mentioned, the only thing for May 7th, which, like you said, conspicuously is a month before WWDC. They ain't got time to be doing some grandiose event before and then do another grandiose event for WWDC. Maybe they're just going to have some, like you said, a video, do the Apple Pencil 3, come out with all these new things, and then let us go about our business, which would upset a lot of people. But
But my thing is, why announce an event when you could just throw up a video? It's interesting. I don't know what, like I said, that's why I said it's a little bit of a weird space, right now with Apple, because this seems, because unless they're trying to do like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a big surprise, or trying to, I guess, temper everyone's expectations, making people think it's only a pencil. And then at the event, it's like, voila, we're ripping the covering off this amazing thing. I don't know. It's just really weird. It's all very conspicuous how this is all kind of coming out. But I guess in a couple weeks, we'll see what all of the let loose hype is about. Next up. So I think we talked, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, about Apple, jumping into the AI game. We're expecting to see, a conversation about that in the keynote. To me, I'm thinking that's probably going to be a big part of the keynote. But in this article that I saw on Apple Insider, it's alluding to the fact that Apple's generative AI might be one of the best there is out there. And when I mean best, I mean ethically training and manipulating the data. So I'm not 100% sure what has led them to this conclusion, other than, the speculation around all the lawsuits, Apple recently buying an LLM, and, their I think there's a couple patents out there surrounding language models and machine learning and AI. So it's interesting to see how, this kind of comes out as, oh, Apple is the only one doing this right.
Well, they really ain't got no choice.
Potentially.
They really don't have a choice because everybody likes to sue Apple for every and anything, all the patent disputes, all of the infringements, and all of the disputes with the App Store and third party apps and side loading and USB-C ports. I mean, Apple gets sued all of the time. So I can imagine they do not. They want to check all the boxes, cross all the T's, dot
Yeah.
all the I's when it comes to AI, because let somebody find out that Apple has been training its upcoming AI on copyrighted in material. Somebody somewhere is waiting, has a little piece of
Got
artwork.
the Birdman hands.
It's got a little something that they've copyrighted, something, whether it be a newspaper article, whether it be a blog, whether it be a vlog, all of the things that all these other AIs have been training on. People have kind of been like, oh man, we're mad about that. But like nobody's really got hit. Let Apple steal a little bit of something. I mean, they're going to get sued for trillions of dollars. So
Yeah.
Apple's like, you know what we not going to do is train our AI on anything copyrighted, on anything commercially licensed, on anything that anybody could look at and be like, hey, how'd y'all get that? That looks like mine. So they're going to get sued anyway. They can't avoid it.
Yeah.
But what they not going to do is give nobody gasoline to set fire to Apple's AI before you even get off the ground.
And honestly, maybe this was Apple's goal all along. Let everybody else get out there and kind of work out the kinks for them and see all the pitfalls from everybody else. And I was like, oh, we see we don't need to do that. We need to do this. That works. That doesn't work. And they can kind of slide in and the end and, be pretty much on the upside of training their data and the way they are modeling and managing their language models. So
yeah, I want to believe that Apple is trying to do it because they want to do it the right way. And I want to believe that they're doing it because we want to make sure we protect, artists and creatives' works. I believe they want to do it because they want to be morally and ethically upstanding. I want to believe that.
that they have altruistic motives.
Right. But let's keep it 100. What they've done is we do not want to get sued. And, companies been sued before. In December of 2023, OpenAI and Microsoft were sued by New York Times, copyright infringement. OpenAI in September of 2023 was sued by authors George R.R. Martin, Michael Connolly, and Jordan Franzen. I'm not sure who those guys is. Who is this? OpenAI was also sued by Nicolas Cage. Let me not say that. Nicolas Gage, not Nicolas Cage. So I don't want y'all to
not
think
the actor.
Right. So Amazon has been sued for AI related stuff. So Apple, like you mentioned, let them get out there and let them get bust upside the head with all these problems. We saw all the problems with OpenAI, them trying to get money versus do it ethically and get money one. So Apple's like, all right, y'all go out there and y'all do y'all thing, and we see what's going on. We see how this could play out, and let's not do that.
Yeah. I remember we talked about this last month about there was this research paper. It was on the stories we covered, and it was basically saying that Apple has curated a combination of things. We talked about the two-pronged approach where it was images, then it was image to text, and then text-based input, and it was all trained using Apple's own in-house large language model, LLM for short. So it seems as if they've learned from all the other lawsuits you just mentioned that they are going to take a different approach to ensure as much as they can, because somebody is always going to find some kind of way to sue, whether it's valid or whether it's not. But it seems as if they're doing everything that they can to try to insulate and protect themselves from, potential fallout for for use of generative AI in their software, hardware, whatever they plan to tell us next month. Well, no, in June, because we're not quite in May yet, but at WWDC. So I'm assuming that a lot of the keynote is going to be around Apple's approach to generative AI. So we'll see what they have to say again from the Apple event on May 7th. What new hardware to WWDC are we going to see Apple's take on generative AI? So we'll see. So while we are looking to the future for these events, these two big events in May and in June, take a little bit step back to the top of the year when Apple launched Apple Vision Pro. You don't hear too much about Apple Vision Pro now. It kind of just, it was hyped for like 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. Then it finally came and everybody's like, oh my God. Then it finally arrived and it was just like soup. And it seems as if Apple has cut the shipments of the Apple Vision Pro because the demand is going down. I know we talked about it before that, it was like, oh no, it's on par for other Apple devices. There have been some on Apple, Apple on Facebook Marketplace. Some people are now selling their headsets for like $2,000. So it's already depreciated in value. And it looks like now they're kind of rolling back the amount that they're producing because they aren't selling them any much because honestly, people have moved on. Do you have any kind of inclination outside of that, other than, cost, what may be some other issues or reasons why, they're like, let's kind of dial this back a little bit?
I mean, we kind of knew this was coming. We knew whether it be want or demand for this wanes or something else is going on, right? Now we're talking about Apple releasing generative AI or whatever they're going to announce, in WWDC. So everybody's attention's kind of turned to that. The tech reviewers on YouTube are not really talking about it, so the consumers aren't really talking about it. So it's natural for a brand new product that's not, oh, this is the revolutionary thing, which Apple never claimed it was going to be revolutionary. They claimed it was going to be something new, but they kind of figured it wasn't going to be the same kind of hype as the iPhone or the Apple Watch or the iPad, because one is hella expensive, and two,
$3,500 to start.
Right. And two, nobody really asked for it, so it makes sense that this will go down, and Apple is smart to say, you know what, we're not going to drag this out. We're not going to force it down people's throats. If they like it, they like it. The people out there who are continuing to use them, we'll use them as the beta testers / guinea pigs, and we'll iterate. And, hopefully in about 3 years, that's all we'll be using. But, Apple's smart to be like, yeah, ain't no sense of, feeding this down people's throats. Let's just, we did it. Let's make sure it's right and keep it moving.
Yeah. So it's basically saying the average before the drop off was the shipments were around 700 to 800,000. Now it's anywhere between 400,000 to 450,000 units. Again, that's a huge drop, but these things start at $3,500 each. Even 450,000 units is still a lot of product to push, especially at that price point. And I think I said it before, I don't think Apple really provided a lot of use cases. And I think that was because they wanted to just put it out in the wild and see how people were going to use it. And I think we were just it was a very expensive experiment to get the public to either buy into this, see what it was about, reject it, accept it, or just be meh. And I think we're at the meh part of the whole thing, where it was exciting the first couple of weeks. People were getting their shipments, they were doing their unboxing videos, and now they've had a chance to actually use them. And it's just like, yeah, okay, that's something. It's okay. So what's next? Kind of thing. But again, like you said, this was pretty much expected. I don't think anybody really expected this, especially the very first version, to take off, especially with all of the things you basically have to walk around with, like a battery pack, to get some real usage out of it. And it's very confined usage. You can't just, even though people do it, which is not smart, are out in the wild walking around with these things on. I don't think that really adds to your quality of life. Just outside, gonna put on my Vision Pro and go to the grocery store. I don't think that's what it was meant or made for. So time will tell to see if we get any sort of update, or significant update to the Vision Pro this year, or if it's just going to be software updates and, continue to, now that Apple has all of this data from people's feedback and usage, to see what they go back with and retweak and retool and come back with. I think the next generation will be able to see people's input and actual lived experience with it actually implemented in version 2. So I'm not at all upset that I did not buy it. I'm happy that I did not. So I don't think I was missing out on anything. So that is going to wrap it up for the lowdown. Let's head on over into Second String, where we talk all other tech. Well, this news came out today. President Joe Biden has signed the bill. It's not the TikTok ban bill, but it is tacked on to an existing package that Congress is voting for. So essentially, as a part of this bill, where it's foreign aid to Ukraine, Palestine, Israel, they kind of tacked this on, I think, to this bill. And basically, Joe Biden signed the bill that was put forth by the Senate to tell TikTok, which is ByteDance, which is a Chinese-based company, that if they don't sell their company,
sell the American side of the company,
right, then it will be banned in the United States. So all of the folks who do content creation, who make money, make their living from TikTok, it's really kind of, I'll say it's up in the air, because the CEO of TikTok basically said, that this is against, freedom of speech and all these things. We're going to, we don't want to see it happen, all this, that, and the third. But basically, in essence, if they don't sell, then no more TikTok, legally anyway, in the United States.
Yeah, and that's if TikTok does not divest. And basically, I don't know the specifics of that, but of course, there is a lot of American data on American users, and what, in not a perfect world, the idea that the congressman and now President Biden want TikTok to do is the American data from American users needs to be on American servers, being hosted, monitored, used by American companies. So you think of IBM. I'm not saying these are the companies that have put their name in the hats, but you think of IBM, you think of Oracle, you think of maybe Amazon, you think of Microsoft, you think of all these American companies that have the ability to pull all of the American data off of ByteDance's servers that could or could not, the word is still out, whether they would or would not, or even could or could not give over that data to the Chinese government. But if the data from Americans is tightly controlled by American companies on American servers, then that is, I think, the idea of divesting. Now, TikTok can still run as a company. They can still do all the things that they do, but they don't have any sort of grasp, any sort of hold, any sort of control over the data that Americans are using on TikTok. Of course, TikTok doesn't want that, because we as Americans are the main users of TikTok. We're the ones
Well, I
generate.
saw someone that said only 10% of TikTok usage is from America.
Nah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Well, maybe I could not. I don't believe that because I'm
Across the whole
biased.
world?
Well, I'm biased because I'm American, right? So,
Yeah.
but the fact that TikTok is fighting this so hard lends into the idea that our data, American data, is somewhat special or somewhat important. Because if that was the case, if Americans only consisted of 10% of TikTok data, why would TikTok be fighting this hard? They have outright said in the story that you put up, this is unconstitutional law as TikTok ban. We will challenge it in court. We believe the facts are clearly on our side and we will ultimately prevail. Yada, yada, yada. This ban would devastate 7 million businesses and silence 170 million Americans. We continue to challenge this unconstitutional ban. We will continue investing in and innovating to ensure TikTok remains yada, yada, yada. So it sounds like they're going to fight this tooth and nail. And if they do, that means they're not going to divest in time to not be banned in the United States. And that is where the problems are going to rise because we as Americans have a vested interest in TikTok remaining TikTok because creators and all the money is generated and people use this as a main income, and we flat out won't be able to access TikTok. Now, whether I'm a creator
legally anyway,
right. Whether I'm a creator using this as my sole income or just a casual user that likes to follow my favorite influencers, creators, I won't be able to do that on TikTok. So that's going to piss a lot of people off. And it sounds like TikTok is going to fight it versus just doing what America wants it to do, which again, we don't know if it's true. TikTok says we was never going to give. China has never demanded any data on Americans from TikTok. And if they did, we would never give it to them. You know, add that to the fact that there is no proof that Americans, whether it be congressmen, whether it be lawyers, there's no proof that they could provide that shows TikTok has given up or allowed Chinese influence or manipulation of the data. There's no proof of that anywhere, but the fact that it could possibly be a problem, and it's China, right?
Because the parent company is Chinese.
In Beijing,
the actual
somewhere, I think,
and the actual CEO of TikTok is not even Chinese; he's Singaporean.
Yeah.
So I remember watching that exchange. I can't remember which senator was kind of grilling the CEO. He was kept inferring, and the guy was like, I've never lived in China because I'm not Chinese, I'm Singaporean. And it was kind of a back and forth. And the guy just would not accept that Singapore and China are two completely different countries.
Right. So what the word on the street is, the real problem or the real reason why this is going down is a tit for tat thing. Because what China does is they prohibit or cut off or stop American companies from doing certain things in China, and America's like, all right, is that what we're gonna do?
Game you want to play?
Is that what we gonna do? And then so now they're hitting TikTok, not because they believe in consumer safety, because that ain't the trick case, because the whole 2016 presidential election was influenced by Facebook and their mess up with Cambridge Analytica. That ain't had nothing. That TikTok wasn't even around then. So if the congressman and President Biden really cared about users' data and making sure it doesn't get into the wrong hands and make sure people are not manipulating the data, they would lock down Facebook, they would go for
American country,
Twitter,
American companies.
So they really don't care about that. This sounds like a tit for tat, which I mean, look, it is what it is. If that's the case, but just be ready, because if TikTok fights this, it could be banned legally, and that's going to cause a lot of problems.
And a lot of these politicians are trying to get the Gen Z vote, and Gen Z is all over TikTok. This is going to be, a wrinkle in their plan if they're really trying to capture that Gen Z market. Also, I went over to Pew Research to get a little information on how Americans actually use TikTok. So a third of U.S. adults, including the majority of adults under the age of 30, use TikTok. That's a third. Under 30 mostly. Around 6 in 10 U.S. adults under 30, which is approximately 62%, say they use TikTok, compared to 39% usage is between the ages of 30 to 49. 24% of users are 50 to 64, and 10% are those 65 and older. And I think the person who I saw talk about it's only 10% of American users. I think they pulled that one age group and then just put that instead of actually doing the research and looking it up and seeing what the number is.
Yeah, I don't believe 10% is only 10% of Americans, as opposed to maybe 30% of Germans and, you know, 40% of, you know, Indians or whatever. Yeah. I don't believe that.
That 10% is for 65 and older.
Okay.
But a third of U.S. adults use TikTok.
Which is a lot. That's a third of just Americans, right?
Yeah, of just American adults.
Which 1/3 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you put that over all of Americans, a third of us use TikTok. That is a lot. That's enough.
No, a third of adults.
Okay, adults.
So that doesn't even include kids using TikTok. They're only counting adults. So a whole third of United States adults, 18 and over, use TikTok. So and the majority of that.
And that's not accounting for teenagers. That's not accounting for adolescents. That's not accounting for children or whatever the age split up. So you add all those up, a third of this and a third of that and a fourth of this, that adds up to probably about 80%. 80%.
That's a large chunk. And it says 6 in 10 of people under 30. So that would include, I presume, youth, teenagers or whatever, use it. So that's 6 in 10 adults. They're still adults. Yep. But it's under, so it's like 18 to 30.
Right.
Of the 18 to 30 group of people, 6 in 10.
Right.
So TikTok.
And to be honest, maybe like Biden, I don't want to say Biden, but the reason why they was able to push this, like you mentioned, is because they packaged it with foreign aid to U.S. allies. So,
and nobody wants to vote against that.
And nobody doesn't want to give money to Ukraine. Nobody doesn't want to give money to whatever side we're on as far as I say whatever side we're on as far as the Israel.
Because they're giving money to all of them: Ukraine, Palestine, and Israel.
So we
all getting the money,
right? So they said, all right, if you want to give them money, then you got to ban TikTok. So it's like, all right, I guess we got to ban TikTok. So here we go.
We're off to the races. I don't know. I have to go and look through the article to see if they gave a time frame on when this is supposed to be implemented. I don't see that yet. I'm sure somewhere out there in the world of the internet, I just don't see it in this article on 9 to 5 Mac.
I think it's 9 to 12 months.
9 to 12 months.
Yeah.
Gonna be interesting to see if TikTok is going to be able to pull a rabbit out of their hat, but I don't think they're gonna sell because that's, again, as you're talking about, it's like a tit for tat type of thing. It's a game of chess, and nobody wants to, what's the word I'm looking for? Acquiesce to the other one. So everybody's going to put up a fight. Well, the Americans have already done their part. It's like, it's banned unless you sell. So now it'll be interesting to see
what sort of fight TikTok
puts up.
What sort of fight Americans who use TikTok put up, because you know when this first came out, along the lines of coming up to this point, a lot of Americans called their congressmen and flooded the email inboxes and flooded the phone calls and phone lines and tying them up saying, y'all stupid, y'all don't know what they're doing. You know,
we're not voting for you. We're not voting for you.
So we'll see.
And that's how you get stuff done. You call and tell these congressmen, senators, elected officials you're not going to vote for them. See how quickly that tide turns, because a job of a politician, to me, is not to govern. It's to become a politician. Right. It's to run for office. That's their job.
So we'll see.
And they do the other stuff in it.
So we'll see if the American people who love or utilize TikTok or don't want to see it to go, see what kind of influence they have, because got an election coming up. Yeah, in a few months. And I just told y'all how many people who are of voting age are on TikTok. Yeah, but historically they haven't voted though. So maybe this changes it, because TikTok's in the game. TikTok I can relate. We can relate to TikTok. We don't know nothing about infrastructure. We don't know nothing about healthcare. We don't know nothing about all these other things. But TikTok, I know what's happening with that. That's the hill I'm willing to die on. Right. Some people will say, I'm sure. So it'll be interesting to see what type of feedback they get from this, because this is a very big deal.
A very big deal. All right. That's going to wrap up for the culture. We are going to head on over. No, that's going to wrap up second string. My head is all over the place today. We are going to go into for the culture, where we talk and give our commentary on socially relevant topics, whether it be social media, whether it be politics, whether it be something fun. This week, we are going to get into sports. So, Reggie Bush, former USC Trojan, all-star, super popular, super talented running back, got his Heisman taken away from him for allegedly
doing what all the other college athletes was doing.
Right. And he lost his Heisman because I believe his parents accepted money from a booster. Well, 14 years later, the Heisman Committee has decided just today to give Reggie Bush his Heisman back. Yep. In light of all of the things that have happened or are now happening with sports when it comes to NIL and all of these students getting shoe deals, car deals, sports drinks,
right.
These things.
The whole name, image, and likeness kind of propelled or put Reggie Bush's the fact that he was denied his Heisman back into the forefront, because now artists, it's almost like the marijuana thing. It's right. Marijuana was illegal. They threw people in jail. Now marijuana is legal.
Black people. Yeah.
Right. Now marijuana is legal. Now we're like, hey, all these people y'all threw in jail, we need to reconsider that. It's kind of the same thing. They kind of came down hard on Reggie Bush because of the things that he did. Now some of those same things are now legal. It's like, yo, we need to revisit this and
get this man his stuff back. So I bring this up to say, of course, one, because it just happened, it's a huge deal because people have been advocating for him to, one, for it to never have been taken, and for two, for him to have it back for years. Now, again, with name, image, and likeness, it's now coming back to him. And we've seen both sides of the coins. It's great for these student athletes to be able to make money off of their work and themselves, because these universities, these other companies are making billions and billions of dollars off of them, and all they're getting is quote unquote an education. I guess, does this put NIL in a different light now?
No, it just rights a wrong. Colleges are still going to try to keep as much control as they can over the student athletes. The NCAA is going to continue to only want to share the profits with colleges, and sports broadcasting companies that promote them, that air them. If you're at the top, you don't want to share your piece with another group, being the players, right? But at the same time, this name, image, and likeness gives the players the ability to get money outside of the college, outside of all these other things, which is a start, because only the big name college players are going to be able to get their quote unquote just due. And just Joe Blow sitting on the bench is still going to be Joe Blow sitting on the bench, right?
Getting room and board and tuition and a meal plan.
But this is a start for players to start to take their name, image, and likeness, their brand, their future into their own hands, and this particular story about Reggie Bush is just them saying, all right, so we've done that. So let's kind of grandfather him back into it, because he, like I mentioned before, he was accused of and subsequently got his Heisman taken away for some of the same things that kids can now do legally.
Yeah, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking to see if they put say in this article from ESPN, but I think it was his parents who got money for a car. I think, if I'm remembering. But Reggie Bush says, quote, "Personally, I'm thrilled to reunite with my fellow Heisman winners and be a part of the storied legacy of the Heisman Trophy, and I am honored to return to the Heisman family. I look forward to working together with the Heisman Trust to advance the values and mission of this organization." So he actually physically got his trophy back today at the end of a scheduled summit meeting for the Heisman Trust. And the associate director, Tim Henning, for the Heisman Trust described it as a, quote, celebratory atmosphere. And about 15 other Heisman winners were there in the meeting. So everybody, according to this article, was happy to see him get his trophy back, get back, pulls it back into the fold of the official Heisman community, because I don't think he ever left, but in the official ranks, he has his trophy back, and he got it in front of a bunch of people that he knows. So that wrong has definitely been righted as it relates to Reggie Bush. So congrats to him. Glad he gets his trophy back and gets put back into the historic brotherhood of the Heisman community. So good for him. Yep. All right, next up is the hookup. Brother Tech, what is our tech tip of the week?
All right, so basically this tip is to disable biometrics from unlocking your phone. The popular thing with Apple, Google, pretty much any smartphone now is they can use your face, or they can use your eyes, or they can use your finger or thumbprints to unlock your phone. It's faster, it's more secure. But you also have to use a passcode as the very, very baseline to keep your phone protected, right? So if your face doesn't work, your thumbs or your fingers don't work, you still have that backup to use your passcode, right? So I'm going to give you the instructions on how to force your phone to use the password to unlock versus using your face or your thumb or your fingers. And basically what you do is you press and on an iPhone, you press and hold the sleep wake button and press and hold the volume up button for like 2 seconds. Once you hold those buttons for 2 seconds, your phone will kind of like lock down. And then the only way you can unlock it is by using your passcode. Now, why am I telling you this? Because there was a story that came out to where the police, a judge sided with the police that they were within their rights to force a person that they had, they pulled him over. They forced him to use his thumbprint. He used his his thumbprint to get into his phone. They found all these other things and then charged him for all those other things. And a judge sided with the police saying that it was lawful for them to do that because you really don't have to do anything extra to unlock your phone with your thumb. You just put your thumb on there or your finger and it automatically unlocks. So I'm showing you, all right, if you are one of those people out there riding dirty, or you just want to be able to unlock your phone with your passcode. I don't know if it's the girlfriend or the husband or the boyfriend is trying to get into your phone or whatever the case may be, thumbprints, Face ID, that stuff can be tricked. So in the case of the police, right, the reason why I'm saying do this is because according to that story, like I mentioned, you don't have to do anything extra to use your thumb to unlock your phone. So legally that's saying, well, if I do have to do something extra, like remember my passcode, then that is still, I can still lawfully do that. So basically I'm saying, all right, if you get pulled over by the police, you can simply say, I don't remember my password. And legally, since you have to do something like remember your password or your passcode to unlock your phone, then that's well within your lawfully rights. When right now they're saying it's not within your lawfully rights to use your thumbprint because you don't have to do something. So that's kind of like the back and forth. So I'm kind of showing you how you can lock your phone real fast. So you have to remember your passcode in order to unlock your phone so you don't incriminate yourself, which is with my lawfully rights to not incriminate myself. So if I don't remember my passcode, I can't incriminate myself versus my thumb snitching on me.
Right. And I just put it in the show notes because I heard about this as well. So basically the U.S. Constitution's Fifth Amendment protection against self-incrimination, according to the Federal Appeals Court, ruled yesterday, does not prohibit police officers from forcing a suspect to unlock a phone with a thumb scan. So basically they're saying it's not unlawful for the police to force you to use biometrics, whether it's your thumb, whether it's your face scan,
whether it's your eyes,
your eyes, whatever the case may be, your biometric features are not covered under that Fifth Amendment. However, using the passcode is covered by the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. So again, take that tip to heart, especially if you're driving, you get pulled over, go ahead and do that trick real quick so they can't compel you to enter in your password. They ask you, my phone is locked and it has a password. And they can't force you to access to your phone. So we have to follow these rules as they change seemingly almost every day, just to make sure that, you know, we're safe and that we're also abiding by the rules of law and that we are aware of the rules of the law.
That's important because the police are aware of their laws. So you should be aware of your laws as well. That's the whole
Because they will try you.
Yep.
You have to put in your PIN code. No, I don't.
All right. Or I don't remember my PIN code. I'm sorry. I don't remember it.
Yeah. And you can't, and the thing is, you can't force me. You can't force me. So yeah. All right. Again, got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, folks. All right. That is going to wrap up the show for this week. Brother Tech, where can the people find you?
Sure, you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH. With the exception,
And you can find.
I'll say with the exception of TikTok, because who knows what's going to happen? I may not be there no more.
Right. And you can find me at Tech Savvy Diva all over the internets as well. Again, to comment, to connect, to share, to support our show, go on over to snubwestcast.com and get all of those details. Until then, we will see you guys next week.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.